Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for being here. We will get started in just a couple minutes. I'm going to give people a little bit of time to jump on and get going. So if you are waiting right now, if you're watching this right now, drop your name in the comments and where you're from. I'd love to see some of you guys. It looks like we have, let me mute this audio right here actually. Looks like we have Dehi on, Tom is on right now. And there's about four others of you on there, hiding there. So put your name in there. Let me know who you guys are, and we'll jump in just a moment. So we're going to start doing these webinar type Q&As every single Thursday for trial users. So if you guys are a trial user right now, which you are, if you've got this link and you're on this webinar, you're a trial user, you have the opportunity, hopefully, to attend 2 of these because your trial period is 14 days. We're going to be doing every Thursday. So if you don't get all your questions answered today, or if you're going to watch this as a replay a couple hours from now, and you have a few questions you want answered, well, first of all, you can always reach out to support and we can answer you right away, or just join us next Thursday for the next live Q&A we'll be doing, and we'll hopefully be able to answer your question there. The goal of this is really just to help you guys get started with ScoutIQ, to answer the basic questions you have, and to set you guys up for success, because we don't want to take your money unless you're successful with the app. That's always our policy, and so we want you guys to be successful. So please, after you drop your name and where you're from, if you have some questions, you can drop those in there. I'm going to go over a few things first. Some common questions we get, and hopefully show you guys a little more detail about the app. And then after that, we'll dive in and start answering those questions. If I'm not able to answer some of your questions, if I don't have the answer, I'll be sure to find the answer and I'll reach back out to you and let you know what that is. But hopefully I'll have the answer to the questions you guys have today. Looks like there's 12 people on right now. We've got Hector. Hey, Hector. We've got Rodriguez here. Jacob's here. Who else is here? Gotta put this font size up. I can barely see it. Let's see here. All right. Anyone from Colorado here? Colorado is where we are located. I'm at the office right now, the ScoutIQ office, where Caleb Roth and myself work. Caleb's actually out of town right now. Normally he'll be on these webinars too, or occasionally he will be. Sometimes I'll be hosting these, but he's out of town today, so it'll just be me on here. Got someone from Ohio over there. Who else? If you guys are watching, don't have to hide in the comments. You guys can put something there, and we'll get to know each other a little bit more. Also, how many of you guys have been selling on Amazon for a while and you just started using ScoutIQ? I'm curious how many of you are brand new, or if you've been selling for a little while. So put in the comments either brand new or you've been selling. Just put selling or brand new, so I can know kind of if you guys are brand new to this, or if some of you guys have been doing this for a little while and you just switched to using ScoutIQ. That'll help me kind of judge the content we do for this training. Give it just a couple more minutes for a few more people to jump on. Selling for 3 months. Awesome. Brand new. Jacob, brand new. Matt, great. Let's see. Brand new. All right. So I'm guessing a lot of you guys are probably going to be brand new to this. Some of you guys might be switching over. So we'll kind of tailor this content. Another brand new, awesome. So we'll be tailoring this kind of to beginners, and hopefully even if you've been selling for a little while and you just switch to ScoutIQ, it'll still be helpful for you to learn how to use ScoutIQ as compared to maybe the Amazon seller app you're using before or another scouting app. So let's just dive in. Let me share my screen here with you guys so you can see what I'm looking at. Alrighty, let me get my windows all set up here. All right, so it's a little smaller than I was hoping it would be for some reason, but it looks like you can at least see it. So again, welcome for being here. I'm going to walk through real fast who I am, a little bit about my background, and then we'll jump into a little bit of the Q&A stuff. Just sold my 3rd book today. That's awesome. Great work. Are they live? Just have a dark screen. Hopefully it's not a dark screen anymore, Tom. Can you guys see and hear me right now? I take it you guys can, since I've seen some responses in there, but hopefully it's not dark anymore. It should say welcome on the screen. You should be able to see that. So I was born in Las Vegas, and I was pretty much raised in southern Utah near the Zion National Park area. That's a beautiful area if you guys ever get the chance to go down there and check it out. And then I moved out here to Colorado, Denver area, where I am right now, for college. Went to college here, and that's actually where I met my wife. You can see her right there. I put this picture up here today because it's actually our anniversary today. It's 4 years for us, and so we got married right after school. Graduated about, I guess, 4 years ago now, because we've been married for 4 years. So that's my wife, Joy. And then this is my son, Truett. He's about 2 years old now. He's a little over 2 years, like 2 years and 2 months, around there. He's a crazy little ball of energy. And then we actually have one on the way right now, a little girl who will be coming in July. So less than, actually exactly a month from today, July 20th is the due date. So we'll be getting a new member of the family very soon. We're excited about that. And then after school, right after I graduated, actually in 2015, I met this guy named Caleb Roth. You guys have probably seen Caleb already if you're part of the Book Flipper group or from the emails and everything like that. So this picture is actually taken a couple days ago. Caleb and I went to a marketing conference in Vegas, and we found this giant inflatable chicken. So why not take a selfie with the giant inflatable chicken, right? So Caleb and I met at this business networking event. When I first met Caleb, I was working full-time as a marketer for a company called General Air out here. And Caleb had just quit his job and started selling books on Amazon full-time. So Caleb is really my introduction to selling on Amazon. As probably a lot of you guys know, and maybe you're still in a situation, a lot of people don't even know people sell books still, or if it's even a very profitable thing to do. So of course, when I heard he sells books on Amazon, I thought that was interesting. I didn't think that was something you could make money on. So Caleb and I became friends. He kind of taught me how to sell on Amazon, what to look for, what to do. And so we were friends for about 2 years. And then Caleb said, hey, I've got a great idea for an app. I want to improve some things in the existing apps that are out there. And so we partnered up together and created ScoutIQ with a third business partner of ours who's a developer. And I've been doing ScoutIQ and eFlip and the Book Flipper community full time now for about 2 years, or almost 2 years, coming up on that now. So Caleb and I are business partners. We work together. He's a lot more experienced than I am in the selling field, and he's a data guy if you've ever watched his videos. So he's the one that's deep into the numbers. I'm the marketing guy. I love marketing. That's what I thrive on. And I speak more at the 4th grade reading level. So maybe it's a little easier for some of you guys to understand me, hopefully. But yeah, Caleb has a lot of awesome content on his channel. Check out the Book Flipper YouTube channel if you haven't seen that already. And he goes into a lot of detail, a lot of the numbers, a lot of the data behind selling books. And so if you guys love the data, you love those spreadsheets, go check out those videos, because I'm sure that will be great for you. Some people said the feed stopped working. Hopefully it didn't stop working. Refresh it, it came back for me. So sorry guys, it was cutting out a little bit. It looks like I've got good internet reception here, so hopefully it doesn't cut out anymore. So Caleb and I have been doing ScoutIQ for about 2 years now, a little over that. And so yeah, that's the backstory from how I got to where I am right now. So let's jump in real fast, and we'll talk a little bit about the apps and a few things we always see people asking questions about. So hopefully that answers a few things for you. If you guys have already downloaded the app, hopefully you have. If you're trial users, you've already seen this screen right here. Can you guys see my mouse? I don't think you can. Well, I'll just have to tell you guys what I'm looking at. So this is the home screen right here. As you can see, there's that triggers button. There's the download data button, scout button, and the settings button. Hopefully you've had a chance to mess around with those a little bit. We're going to jump into some of the details on there. So let's check out this settings page real quickly. So on the settings page, again, sorry, the text looks a little small there. But I'm going to talk about these scanning modes down here. So we have database only, data plus live, and live only. When you guys started ScoutIQ, you either signed up for a live only plan or a database plus live plan. Let me explain the differences, because a lot of people get those confused. The live plan is going to be the cheaper plan, right? It's $14 a month, and the database plus live is the more expensive plan at $44 a month. Now, the biggest difference between these two is that the live plan, you have to be a professional, have an Amazon professional seller's account. So that's going to be a monthly fee from Amazon. And the reason for that is because if you want to look up live results on Amazon, you have to have credentials from them to be able to do that. So if you have a professional seller's account, you're paying the money to Amazon each month, they'll give you access to those credentials. We'll go into how to set those up in a second. But you're allowed to look up things live on Amazon. So you can scan a book or anything with a barcode. And if it's on Amazon, it's going to bring up those results in ScoutIQ for you if you've connected your credentials. Now, the reason that's the cheaper plan is because it's a lot slower and you don't have a database. So you have to always have data or internet connection to use it. And the results are going to be a couple seconds to bring up because it's got to send the request to Amazon and then get that information and bring it back into the app. The more expensive plan, the premium plan for Database Plus Live, you're going to have the option to do the live only as well. So you can still look up things live, but you get the database. The database is huge for two reasons. The two reasons it's big is because you can download almost all the books on Amazon straight to your device. So when you're out scouting, when you're at a library or a thrift store, wherever you're trying to find your inventory, you will be able to scan those without internet connection. You can get the results back on the app. So any book that is in the database, you can scan it and it'll bring it up. And the second reason it's a great thing is because it's a lot faster. You can scan things pretty much as fast as your phone's processor can handle. So you'll get the results a lot quicker and you can therefore go through hopefully a lot more books and find a lot more keepers in the end. So right here, it's pretty self-explanatory, but if you click the database button, you'll have to download the database. And everything you scan will only look in the database for that product. Database Plus Live, what that's going to do is you want to have your internet on for this. But if you scan something and it's in the database, it first checks there. And if it is, it pulls it through the database, so it's faster. If it can't find the book in the database or the product in the database, it's going to look that up on Amazon Live and then deliver those results to you. So I recommend most people stick with this Database Plus Live option in the settings here. That way you can still stick to the database. You can scan quickly, but if for some reason the book is not in the database or the product you're scanning, it will bring it up on Amazon for you so you can still get those results. And then finally, live only. That's only going to look to Amazon. It's not going to touch the database, and you'll need full internet connection or data for that option. Tom says having database is way faster scouting. Yes, it is. It's once you compare the two, do that actually. Hit live only, scan a few books, then hit database only, scan a few books, and see the difference in time. It's going to be a lot faster to use database versus looking everything up live. And then finally, on the home page, you'll see a triggers button. And if you guys click that triggers button, you'll probably only see ScoutIQ default triggers unless you've set something up. We'll go into how to set stuff up. But if you haven't set any triggers up yet, you'll just see the ScoutIQ default triggers, and it's going to be highlighted. You'll see the little dot at the end there, meaning those are the triggers you've selected. Now, if that's all that's showing on your screen, you won't be able to do anything with it. If you tap it, nothing's going to happen right now, and I'll explain why that is in a second. But those are the default triggers, and that's probably all you'll see, and that's okay to use for right now. So let's jump into the Scout screen and talk quickly about some of the things you'll see on here and how it works. So this is the main Scout screen. You're going to have the most data on this screen right here. As you can see in the top left-hand corner, you're going to have your profit, and next to profit it says FBA. We'll talk about the difference between those two in a second, but FBA just means fulfilled by Amazon, and that's how it's calculating the profit. It'll be either green accept or red reject if you have the default triggers selected, and then you can see all the options, all the data in here. So the far left row is going to be all the used offers, starting at the lowest one, which is normally going to be merchant fulfilled, but it could be prime as well. It's basically the first 15 lowest used offers. So if you see right here, there's actually only, what is there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things showing here. So the first 1, 2, 3, 4, the first 4 things you see right here are the lowest 4 offers. The next one up is the 10th lowest, and then the last one is going to be either the 15th or 20th lowest offer. That's just so you can see it in a more concise format. We're not actually going to show you all the 20 or 15 lowest offers. You can see those in that left column there. In the second from the left column, it says FBA. This is where the FBA offers are going to show up. So if there's an FBA offer in the lowest 15, it's going to show up, or lowest 15 to 20, it's going to show up there, and you can see those prices right there. So on this particular book, it looks like there are 4 FBA offers showing up, and you can see those prices. And then the other two columns right next to that, it says all new offers. And then the new FBA offers are going to show in the far right column there. Now, one thing to really take note is when you scan something, it's going to say accept or reject, right? And you'll notice there's going to be one number highlighted on the screen. In this case, you can see Amazon's price is highlighted in the lower right-hand corner. And what it's telling you is it's basing your accept and your profit off that price. So if you list it for $18.36, that's the profit. Except in this case, it's showing Amazon's number, and you never want to price exactly what Amazon's pricing at, because you don't want to be competing with Amazon. If you have a new book and or you have a used book and they've got a brand new book, you don't want to sell it for the same exact price. So if Amazon is the best price to choose, it's actually going to take 10% off of that. And so that's how you're getting the $8.81 profit. It's the $18.36 minus 10%. If you listed it at that price, it would be $8.81 profit. If you swipe right on the screen, you'll see this one come up next. This is just more of the simplified version of the scouting screen we just looked at. So this one, you're going to see a few bar graphs. It's less information, but it's maybe a little bit easier to read. You can still see the target price right there is $16.52, which is the 10% off of the $18.36 Amazon price. Buy cost right now is set to 0, and so you can see those main things right here: sales rank, e-score, lowest used, etc. And then finally, look at this screen right here. If you notice the difference between this screen and the very first one, so the far right and the far left screen, if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, in the bottom left-hand of the first screen, you can see the cover of the book. In the bottom left-hand corner of the last screen, you don't see the cover of the book. This is the easiest way to see if you guys are scanning something in live mode or database mode. If it's pulling a book from the database, you're not going to see a cover photo of the book. That takes too much data, and so we just cut the cover photo out. So you'll just see the title of the book and all the same information, but it's not going to show the title, cover, or the cover of the book. If you're looking something up live on Amazon, you will see the cover of the book down there. So that's an easy way to see if the results are from the database or if the results are from Amazon looking it up live. Now let's look at let's talk about the profit triggers real fast, because a lot of people have questions about profit. So if you look at the top, you'll notice it says profit, right? And how that's calculated, if you want to see how that's calculated, just tap that profit number at the top. If you can right now, if you're got your phone available, bring up ScoutIQ, scan a book, then tap that profit number. I should have included a screenshot here of what that looks like. But that will break down all the Amazon fees and the estimated inbound shipping according to the weight of the book. And you can see how those fees are calculated. So what the profit number is what you're listing the book for minus all the fees associated with it and minus your buy cost if you put something up there. Left over is the profit. So it does include shipping to Amazon, and it does include all the storage fees as well. And also, if you look at the top of that last screen, you can see it's judged off of MF. You see profit, and there's MF next to it. That's merchant fulfilled. And so when you click that profit button right there at the very top, you can choose to calculate profit based on FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, or MF, merchant fulfilled. And so you can change, if you're ordering to do merchant fulfilled, you want to source with it on merchant fulfilled. And if you want to do FBA, you want to source the calculator set to FBA. It will stay set at whatever you click last for that. So real quick, before I start answering these questions, thank you guys for throwing the questions in there. Let's talk about connecting your Amazon account. This is probably the biggest thing we get questions for when people start out. Amazon requires you, like I said, to connect your account, and you have to have a professional account to do it. So in order to connect your Amazon account to ScoutIQ, you'll want to go to the online portal at app.scoutiq.co, sign in there, and then click the account tab at the top. Once you click the account tab, you're going to want to click on the Amazon settings tab, and you're going to see this page right here. As you can see, there's already some credentials in there, the Amazon Seller ID and the Amazon Auth token. Amazon Auth token is going to start with that AMZN and then go on from there. It's going to be a very long number. And then your Seller ID is going to start with an A and be about, I think, 14 digits after that. So a little bit shorter than your Auth token. Once you put those in there, you're going to want to hit Save Information. If the credentials are correct, it's going to say success. If they're not, it's going to say they failed, and you want to double check which credentials you plugged in there. If you want to set these up, go to this page right here, right? Amazon settings. If you see down at the bottom, it says step 1. You're going to want to click that link right there. It's going to pre-fill in ScoutIQ and our developer number. You're going to want to hit next. Check the box saying you understand the terms. Click next again. And then Amazon is going to give you those two credentials to plug in. You'll see the seller ID is at the top, and then the auth token there is at the bottom. Just copy and paste these into those two fields, click save, and as long as it says success, then you know your Amazon account is connected to ScoutIQ and you can now look up stuff live. So if you guys are scanning a bunch of stuff and it keeps coming up with no results found, that's the issue right there. You want to connect your Amazon account, and then those results will start showing up. So that's how you can connect those. Now let's talk about triggers, because triggers is the other thing we get the most questions on, because if you haven't been selling for very long, or if you've never sold before or used the scouting app, the concept of triggers is going to be pretty bizarre, but I'll walk through simply kind of what triggers are and how they work. So like I showed on the app at the beginning, let me go back a few slides here. We got the triggers in the app. You're going to see ScoutIQ default triggers. If you make any more, you'll see them right below here. You can select which trigger set you want, but you won't be able to edit them here. If you want to edit your triggers, you're going to want to go to the portal. Let's go back to that screen we were just at, and then click on the triggers tab at the top. This is where you're going to be able to edit all of those triggers and add new triggers. So for most of you guys, it will look just like this right here. You'll see just one trigger set. It'll be ScoutIQ default triggers. And then if you want to make a new trigger set, you can click that new button at the top. But let's look at the ScoutIQ default triggers and see what those show us. So if you were to click that ScoutIQ default triggers button on the portal, it's going to open up this page right here. So you can see the description says default triggers, and none of these are editable. Okay, if you want to make the triggers different, you're going to want to make a new trigger set. We'll talk about that in a second. But the default triggers are permanent. They're set that way. You won't be able to edit them. And the reason we do that is so if you mess up the trigger somehow, if you go out in the field and you know something's wrong, you can always click on the default triggers and know what those are. They'll never be messed up. So you'll always have those kind of as a fallback option if you make your own triggers. That's why we make those so they're not editable. So we see default triggers. We see fulfillment method is going to be FBA. Buy cost, if you want to set a buy cost, if you know your buy cost is always going to be the same, you can set it right here. Otherwise, just set it at 0. And then you can adjust that within the app. And then the cost per pound shipping is set at 25 cents. If you know your shipping is more than that, we'll talk about how you can change that in here. And you can also change it in the app, clicking on that profit button again. So those are the main settings for these triggers. Fulfillment by Amazon, buy cost 0, and then it's estimating 25 cents a pound to ship the books to Amazon. And then here's the triggers below. You see it's for the books category. It says books right up here at the top. And then you've got triggers 1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes all the way down to 12. Let's look at these numbers in here and kind of see what they mean. These triggers are what's going to decide if a book is going to be an accept, you should buy it, or reject, don't buy it. That's what's deciding whether a book is good or not, are these triggers right here. So trigger number 1 is basically saying if the minimum E-score is 151, meaning in the last 180 days, it's sold at least 151 of those days, there's been a sale. Max E-score is 999. So basically the highest E-score available down to 151. If the book fits within those criteria, it's going to go to this trigger number 1. If there's no E-score available for the book, it's going to then go to rank. So minimum rank is 1, being the most sold book on Amazon, up to 50,000, meaning it's selling multiple copies a day. And then this is how it's going to price the book. It's going to look at FBA slot number 4, because if it's hitting trigger number 1, that means the book is going to be selling all the time. So if a book is selling all the time, you're going to want to get higher. You're going to want to shoot for more profit with that book because you know it's going to sell all the time. So instead of trying to be the lowest offer, there's no need to. You can price it maybe the 4th highest offer. Let those first 3 offers sell because they should sell fairly quickly, and you can get a little more money for that book. So if it fits between E-score of 151 to the max E-score, it's going to look at FBA slot 4. If FBA slot 4 is not there, it's going to look at the highest merchant fulfilled slot. If that's not there, it's going to compare it to the buy box, or it is going to compare it to the buy box to see if the buy box is higher. And then you can see the percent off Amazon there is 10%, and the target profit is set at $2. And always reject is no, so it's not going to reject these books. So what it's basically looking for is it's looking through these criterias. So for an example, if a book has a rank of 2, it's going to trigger this first trigger right here because it's between rank 1 and 50,000. So rank of 2 falls in between there. And then if it's got a minimum target profit of $2, it's going to say accept. If it has less target profit than that, it's going to say reject. And so as the book slows down, as it stops selling as frequently, you can see here in the E-score right here, if it's selling less often as the triggers go down, you're going to require more and more profit. So you can see trigger number 3 is set for $2.50 profit, and then it keeps climbing from there. The reason for that is quite simple, actually. If you're going to sell a book really quickly, it's okay to make a lower profit on it. But if that money is going to be tied up for a long time, if it's going to take that book 3 months to sell, 6 months to sell, or a year to sell, you want more money in return for that book because it's going to be sitting there for a long time and it's going to tie up your money or your investment for a longer time. So as the book slows down in sales, you're going to want more and more profit for it. And so that's why those profits keep escalating as the trigger numbers go up. So maybe that was a little bit more complicated than I wanted it to be, but I'll look at your questions and try and clear some of that up if it wasn't very clear right there. And then we'll get into those in just a second. Let me answer some of your questions first. Let's jump in here and start doing that. I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. It's already almost 30 minutes in. So let me switch the screen back to the camera. Hopefully you guys can now see my face. Let me put these over here so I can read the questions. All right, let's jump into some of these questions. Let's look here. Congrats. Thank you very much. Let's keep going down. Wi-Fi at the library is really slow. Database is faster, even with the live option. Yeah, so that's the biggest benefit for database. And that's why it costs more, is because it's a huge advantage for you. A lot of places you go won't have great cell reception. And even if there is a cell reception or data reception, oftentimes it's very slow. So if it's a slow connection, when you scan a book and it's just looking up live on Amazon, it could take 10 seconds for that result to show up on your phone. So it's going to take you a lot longer to scan through books just using live. So that's the benefit of database. One of the biggest benefits is just the speed, and you don't have to use data in order to use it. So yes, definitely, database is the faster option. How often is the database updated? Sometimes I notice $1 to $2 price difference. So the database is updated every single morning. But as you guys probably notice, books change in price very frequently. So it should be pretty close to what the current price is, but it can fluctuate a little bit. So one thing I always do, if I scan a book and it says accept, and I see there's no picture at the bottom, so I know I looked it up in the database, I'll just tap that live button in the middle of the ScoutIQ screen, and it's going to bring up the live results for that same book, so I can see if that book has changed at all since the database was updated. Normally, if it does change, it's going to be very minimal, but if you want to just be reassured, you can hit that live button and see what it's currently going for Amazon to see if it's changed at all since when you updated the database. But we update the database every single morning, so you guys can update it every time you go out and scout, and you'll get fresh data in there, so that's how often the database is updated. Is it normal for 2 team members to get different results for a book? If you guys are looking it up live, it should never be different. If you're looking it up with a database, if you guys have 2 different versions, maybe you downloaded a database a week ago and the person you're scouting with downloaded it today, that might give you different results. But if you just download the database, they're going to be the exact same results, unless you change triggers. So if you have a different trigger than the person you're scouting with, it should say the same results in there, but yours might say reject and theirs might say accept, or vice versa. So you'll want to be sure if you're getting different results that first you're using the same triggers, you're using the same most recent database, and then if you look it up live, it should definitely be the exact same on both the accounts. So I'll just check that if you're getting different results on 2 different phones. I think they update the database every morning. Yes, that's correct. Database sometimes does not register the ISBN. Yeah, so not every single book out there is in the database. That's why sometimes you'll get something that says no results found. It's because it's not in the database right now. We have a very large portion of the books in our database. I think right now the database is somewhere in the neighborhood of 23 million ISBNs total. So most books are going to be in there. Sometimes you'll catch some that aren't. That's when you get the no results found. That's why it's great to scout in the live plus database mode. So if for some reason the database doesn't have it, it'll look that up on live and you can get the results for it still. We are coming out with a new update for our database in the next couple weeks, and hopefully that'll fill in a lot of those gaps you see right now. So if there are gaps in the next couple weeks, hopefully those will be gone, and you'll see almost every single book you scan come up with the database. All right, Linda says, I loaded the database, but when I try to update the data, my phone says I don't have enough memory. Do I have to delete the database in order to update? How do I do that? So load the database. Yeah, so the database is a large file. That's one thing. It's going to take a little while. If you have a good internet connection, it shouldn't take very long. But if you don't, it's going to take a little while to update because it's a large file. It's 1.3 gigabytes. So to be safe, I want to say you should have 1.5 gigabytes free on your phone's memory in order to download the database. So hopefully when you click that download button, it should check and see if your phone has enough memory. If it does, it'll download it. If it doesn't, you'll get that error message and you'll want to see how you can maybe increase the memory on your phone. Maybe delete some things, put some of your images online, something like that. So you have that 1.3 gigabytes free to download the database. If you have the database downloaded and you click download again, it's going to delete that first database and then replace it with a new database. So it's not going to double up. So you'll only need that 1.3 gigabytes available on your phone. From California, Mike says, awesome. We did a Turn the Page event, a booksellers conference there last year. We might do another one there in the near future. So great to be in California for that. We did it at, is it Venice Beach? No, Long Beach. Venice Beach? I think that's where the conference was. So I'll talk more about a conference coming up soon in a minute, but great to see you, Mike. How heavy is the database? Yep, it's going to be 1.3 gigabytes. Install a cleaner to free up space for the database. That's a great option. If you're struggling for memory on your phone, maybe install a cleaner that can clean up some things so you can download that database. Tom says, is eScore all in? FBA new used, FBA used? If so, approximately how many sales are FBA used versus all else? So what eScore is specific to ScoutIQ. It's something that we created for ScoutIQ because it's a better judge of how often a book is selling. So let's talk about rank real fast so you can understand that, and then I'll jump in kind of and explain what eScore is. So rank is the number Amazon gives a book based on how often it's selling. So a rule of thumb basically is if a book sells once, Amazon's going to drop that rank to 100,000. So if a book sells once in a day, you're going to see 100,000 or right around there in rank. And then for each day it doesn't sell, that rank is going to keep climbing up. So if it hasn't sold in 5 days to a week, the rank's going to go up to 1 million. If it hasn't sold in a month, it'll be 2 million, maybe a little more than that. And if it hasn't sold further than that, it'll just keep climbing 17 million. It can keep going up from there. So the longer it's gone without selling, the higher the rank goes. And every time that book sells, the rank drops down to about 100,000. If it sells multiple copies, it's going to go below 100,000. That's when you start seeing ranks of like 50,000, 20,000, etc. So rank is a good way to tell how frequently a book is selling, except there's a major flaw with it. If you heard what I just said, every time a book sells, even if it hasn't sold for 6 months, if it sells that day, the rank is going to drop to 100,000. So the danger in this is that you can go out and scan a book and you can see, hey, the rank is 100,000. That means it just sold. That's awesome. I'm going to buy this book. But if you go back and look at the history, you'll see that right before, the day before maybe, the rank was 6 million or 4 million or 3 million. It hadn't sold for quite a while. And then you happen to catch it on the day it sold. So you see the rank of 100,000. You think it's a great buy. You buy it. You go home, try and list it. And you figure out this book is not selling. You just happen to catch it on a day it sold. So eScore is basically kind of like a historical ranking. It tracks every time the rank drops. So an eScore is based on 180 days, and each day the rank drops, it's going to do an eScore of 1. So in the past 6 months, if there's 1 day it sold, you're going to see an eScore of 1. If there's 2 days the rank is dropped, you're going to see an eScore of 2. So for example, in the past 180 days, if it's an eScore of 90, that means out of the past 180 days, 90 days, that book has sold at least 1 copy. It might have sold multiple copies that day, but it just tracks each day it sold. So rank eScore of 180 means it sold each day in the last 180 days, etc. So you can kind of see with eScore how often it's been selling. So if a book shows a rank of 100,000, but an eScore of 1, you know that that book has only sold once in the past 180 days. You just happen to catch it on the day that it sold. So that's why the rank looks a lot lower. Will ScoutIQ replace Keepa with something else? We are working for an alternative within the app. For those of you that don't know, Keepa is an extension that can show you the history of a book. It'll show you what the rank has been, what the lowest used price has been. You can look up the Keepa extension. I highly recommend you download it if you haven't. And then in the ScoutIQ app, in the bottom left-hand corner, you can click on the Keepa icon. It'll bring up that graph. Recently, Keepa took away the option to see the history of sales rank unless you pay them monthly. So we are going to work on a way to bypass that and kind of create our own version of that so people can use it without having to pay monthly. Because right now you won't be able to see rank while looking at a Keepa chart unless you're paying them, I think it's $17 a month. So we are working on something that should hopefully be out in the near future. I've noticed sometimes there's no used buy box, sometimes no buy box at all. When that happens, our FBA used simply competing with all the other merchant fulfilled used. So Amazon does weird things with the buy box sometimes. Sometimes if for some reason they don't feel there's a good enough price or the prices are too high, they might take away the used buy box online. So you might click on a book online and see it just shows the new buy box and there's no used buy box. And like you said, I haven't seen them take away both, but maybe they do sometimes take away both buy boxes. So in that case, there is no buy box. They might add it later, they might not, and then you're just competing with the other merchant fulfilled and FBA offers that are also used. Let's look here. Vulgar Text says eScore is days the book has sold, not how many total books have sold. So if a book sold, if a book sold 10 times or 10 times in one day, that's only an eScore of 1. That is correct. Amazon doesn't tell us how many copies of a book are selling. We just see the rank drop and we know at least 1 copy is sold. So that's why eScore increments by 1. Can I leverage eFlip for European market for books? I live in Europe. So both ScoutIQ and eFlip, it's a great question, are based on the US market. So you can scan a book with ScoutIQ in Europe, or you can look up a book with eFlip and you're going to get results, but it's going to be looking at that US market. So people have successfully used eFlip overseas, but the way they do it is they find the books and they have those books shipped somewhere in the US. They have someone prep those books and send those books off to Amazon for them so they can still sell. You won't be able to sell it, or the prices won't be equivalent in your market. So you'll have to buy them in the US and then send them back to the US fulfillment centers. So as long as you can find someone to do that for you here in the States, you can look stuff up on eFlip, find what you want and have it shipped to them instead of having it shipped to yourself. So it does make it a little more complicated, but it is possible if you have someone that can list those books for you here in the United States. Let's look here. In another app, I could clear out my daily total scans and rescan the books I plan to purchase, then email the ISBN list to myself. We don't have the option currently to email a list of ISBNs you've scanned to yourself. That's something we've definitely heard people want. It's something we're looking into, but currently that doesn't have the functionality to export things you've scanned. If you swipe all the way to the right in the app, you'll see what's our scan tracker, and you'll be able to see how many books you've scanned, how many accepts you've gotten, and you can reset that when you go out and source so you can get your metrics there a little bit. If you ever delete the app and re-download it, that's just stored locally on the phone. So it's going to erase all those numbers and they're going to start over from the bottom. But we have that scan tracker in there, but we don't have the ability to export ISBNs right now. Vulgar Tech again says, do you scrape Amazon for ISBNs or do you just rely on the Amazon API? So scraping Amazon for ISBNs is against their terms of service. We use the Amazon API to call Amazon, and we have a ginormous list, like I said, of ISBNs. We update every single day, and that list just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And so we query their API with all the ISBNs we have on our list, and then Amazon gives us those results back. Tom says, it's been taking up to a month for Amazon to list available for my shipments. Curious if that's normal. How long does Amazon usually take? So it's a little bit of a hit or miss with how quickly Amazon processes the stuff you send in. So when you send in a box to Amazon, you'll see when it says shipping, you'll see when it says receiving, and sometimes it gets stuck in that receiving section for a while. If an Amazon warehouse is overloaded, they have too much stuff, or certain warehouses are slower processing than others, it might take a week for those books to go active. Sometimes it might just take a day. Sometimes I've heard people say it takes up to 2 weeks or 3 weeks if they're really, really backed up. Hopefully that's not the case, but occasionally that does happen, so it's not out of the ordinary, but hopefully you'll have better luck next time when you send it in that they'll process it quicker. Sometimes they just get bogged down and slow down how quickly they can process it. Roy says, what is eFlip? I've seen your email about it, but nothing more. Great question. So eFlip is an online software that allows you to buy from Amazon and sell back to Amazon. Kind of briefly, just how it works. If you buy a book on Amazon, you can either buy a Prime, which is 2-day shipping, or you can buy a merchant fulfilled offer, which is going to be normally a lot cheaper, but it's going to take you 7 to 12 days to get that book. So what eFlip allows you to do is search almost all the ISBNs on Amazon And you can say, I want to find books that are selling for $10 merchant fulfilled, but they're selling for $40 Amazon Prime. It's going to show you all those results. And then you can buy a book merchant fulfilled for $10, wait 10 days to have it shipped to your house. Once you get it, you package it up, you label it, send it off to Amazon FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon, and you list it for $40 Prime. And then when that book sells Prime, you make up the difference. You spend $10, you sold it for $40, and you make whatever that profit difference is there. So Amazon eFlip allows you to search all of the books we have in the database and figure out which ones are worth doing that with. And the benefit of that is you can scout from your house. Instead of having to go out to libraries or thrift stores, you can sit in your pajamas on your bed, find books you want to sell, buy them, have them shipped to your house, and then you just send them off to Amazon, and you can make that difference there. If you guys are interested in eFlip or want to know more about it, we are starting an eFlip challenge. You should have got an email about that yesterday. If you join that challenge starting July 1st, we'll be doing kind of an intro thing for beginners to online arbitrage, show you how eFlip works, the different ways you can use it, and how you guys can make money using that online. So great question. Join that challenge. It's created for beginners, and there's a really discounted offer going right now if you want to try out eFlip for 3 months if you join that challenge. How long does it take? Depends on the facility receiving it. Yep. Thanks, Matthew, for the Q&A. Nice to meet you. Thanks, Tom, for being here. Quick info on pricing on eFlip. eFlip is $79 a month, but there's a 21-day trial period. So if you sign up right now, you'll get 21 days to try it out, and then it's $79 a month after that, unless you do the eFlip challenge I was just talking about. That's going to start July 1st, and we have a special intro offer of $159, I think we said. $159 will get you 3 months of eFlip. Normally that's $237, so it's a pretty significant discount. You're basically going to buy 2 months and get a 3rd month free. So we'll give you 3 months to try out eFlip, a big discount, and you can see if you like it. Vulgar Tech says, does ScoutIQ work for other forms of media, games, DVDs, movies, etc.? Great question. Our database is just for books. So if you download the database, all you're going to get is book results. If you look up something live on Amazon, anything that has a barcode in the back, you can scan, and if it's on Amazon, it will bring it up in the app. You can see all the information just like everything else. And you can even set triggers for it online. So if you go to your online portal, go to triggers, hit new trigger set, you can create triggers for DVDs or games, etc. So you can figure out what you want to buy and what you don't want to buy. So database, books only, but if you use live, you can look up anything that has a barcode with ScoutIQ. So I've gone over time a little bit. Normally, we're trying to keep these at 30 minutes. Sorry, I've been rambling on a little longer. If you have a couple more questions, I'll be able to answer those. If not, thank you guys for being here. We'll do another one of these, like I said, next Thursday. Sometimes I'll be doing these. Sometimes Caleb will be. Sometimes we'll both be doing these. So we'll let you know next Thursday. It'll probably be at the same time, 11 a.m. You can come back if you have more questions. One of the big tips I have for you guys when you're starting out to make you more successful and make it more enjoyable is to look at getting a Bluetooth scanner. So a Bluetooth scanner is going to be small. You can hold it in your hand. It connects to your phone via Bluetooth, and you can scan barcodes with that. The benefit of that is that it scans a lot quicker. You can pretty much scan as fast as you can click that button versus scanning with just your phone. If you tap the scan button, it takes a second to bring up the camera. You have to point it at it. It takes a second to register it, and then it takes a second to load those results. So it still works, but it's going to be a lot slower. The key to getting more books is to scan through more books, right? If you have an accept rate of 5%, meaning for every 100 books you scan, 5 of them are keepers, you want to scan through as many books as possible. If you use your phone and you're a lot slower and all you can do is 100 books in an hour, well, you'll only find maybe 5 books you're going to keep and sell on Amazon. If you have a Bluetooth scanner and you're able to do it a lot quicker, you can scan through 1,000 books, and then you're going to have, 50 books instead of 5 books. So you'll be a lot more successful and you'll have a lot more fun if you have a Bluetooth scanner, be able to scan a lot faster. I showed that screen a second ago. Let me bring it back up for you real quickly of those scanners. I'll just do this real fast, then we'll shut it down. Let's see here, slides, share. So you can see, let me go back and show you those scanners. All right, these are 3 of the major scanners people use. The 2 on the left are more of your high-end scanners. The one on the right is a cheaper scanner. So the OPN 2002 are the scanner Caleb and I use. You can normally pick these up used for between $80 up to maybe $200. Normally you can find them for roughly $100, $120 on eBay and things like that. This is a great scanner. It's super small. It works really well. The really cool thing about this scanner is it really maintains its value. So if you were to spend $100 and buy this, you do ScoutIQ for a while, maybe you find out it's not for you, you can almost guaranteed sell this scanner for exactly what you bought it for and not be out any money. So even though it is a little pricey, it keeps its value, and if you plan on not using it anymore, you can always sell that back. KDC is another one that a lot of people use. It's a little more, it's around that price point as well. Sometimes you can find them a little cheaper. And then the iYoYo scanner is going to be a cheaper version. This is you can find on Amazon, and I think they sell it for like $44. So it's a lot cheaper, but it still works pretty well. People have had success with it. So that's a cheaper option if you don't want to invest that much money up front. But Bluetooth scanners, if you get the chance, I highly recommend using one. You'll have a lot more fun. You'll find a lot more books. And of course, the more books you find, the more books you sell, the more fun it's going to be for you along the way. So thank you everyone for, let's answer this last question real fast. Roy says, if ScoutIQ says accept, are we safe to buy and sell for a profit? Sorry, extreme newbie question. No, that's a great question. So as I was saying earlier, if you're using the default triggers, it's set up on those default margins. So if it says accept and it says maybe you're getting a $2 profit because the book is selling all the time, so you can accept a lower profit, that's not going to factor in your buy cost unless you type it in there. So if you're going to get $2 profit, but the book costs $2, of course, it's going to be flat. You're not going to make any money off that book because you made $2, you spent $2, so you're even. So you have to take in your buy cost into consideration and do it from there. So if the book says $4 profit, you're going to buy it for $2. You can do the math in your head and know you'll make $2 profit, or you can just manually enter your buy cost in there and it will show you. We created the default triggers specifically for people to use. So yes, you can rely on those. Yes, you can use those. It's a great place to start, especially if you're not quite sure what you're doing yet. I highly recommend sticking with those. There's actually been a lot of science that's gone into making those ranges for eScore and sales rank and those profit numbers. And like I said, it's the triggers I actually use myself, and Caleb uses those triggers as well. So yes, I highly recommend, especially if you're new, use those default triggers and then only modify them if you have some major reason you want to change, or you know kind of what you're looking for now, you can go in and edit those. So yes, use those. Yes, if this is accept, it should be a good thing to buy. You always want to look at the screen and double check. But you should be able to rely on those triggers. One last question here. I put books based on I pull books based on ScoutIQ, but I screen them with the Amazon app before I buy them. Sometimes Amazon won't let you sell certain books. Yes, that is correct. So certain accounts are going to be restricted on selling certain books. One thing we've done with ScoutIQ is we found a lot of these books people are generally restricted on, and we put a note in ScoutIQ for it. So if you scan a book and you look at that image at the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see a little red circle with an R. That means generally people are going to be restricted in that book. Each seller account is different. Amazon restricts some people on more, they restrict some people on less. So you'll still want to check and see if you're restricted when you list the books, or if you want to, you can scan them. It'll take a little more time, but you can scan them in the store, the seller app, and see if you're restricted. But actually, I wouldn't recommend scanning the seller app. One thing you can do, if you're not sure if you're restricted on a title, you can click that little thumbnail where it shows the image of the book in ScoutIQ, and it's going to open up your Seller Central and show you if you're restricted in that book or not, so you can see if you can sell it. So it's a lot faster than going back through and scanning again with the seller app. Just click on the image, it'll bring it up Seller Central, and you can see if you're restricted from selling it. But again, generally the main books that are restricted, we have a red circle with an R, and you can know most people are restricted. You should probably pass on that book and go to another one. But good question. How do you know best listing price when no FBA options are available for a book? If you don't see any FBA offers in that column on ScoutIQ, it doesn't necessarily mean there aren't FBA offers. It just means there are not any FBA offers in the lowest 15 to 20 offers. So if that's the case, we're going to look at the used buy box, because the used buy box is almost always going to be the lowest FBA. So it's kind of like cheating. You can base it off the used buy box, and you know that's probably going to be the lowest FBA number. So normally, either way, you can see the FBA offer, even if there's not one, by looking at that buy box. So thank you guys for being here. Sorry for keeping you almost an hour. We talked a lot. Hopefully this was helpful to you. If you guys have questions we didn't answer, again, you can reach out to support@scoutiq.co. Let me bring up one last screen for you guys as we close this out. Share. Here's a couple resources for you guys. So if you have not joined the Facebook group, join it. You can do it right here. Type in bit.ly/BF group, all one word, all lowercase. That will bring up our Facebook group. We're almost 10,000 members in there, and so it's a great place to get your questions answered. If you want to start and get a little primer into selling books, go to the 100bookchallenge.com, and you can follow me along for 12 weeks as I started and grew an Amazon account from $0. And I did it for 12 weeks, scouting 100 books a week. You can kind of follow along with me there and set the challenge up for yourself. Another option we talked about is that eFlip challenge starting July 1st. If you're interested in that, go to bit.ly/eFlip challenge, all lowercase, and you can join that challenge there and get that special pricing we talked about. And finally, we have Book Flipper University. This is a beginner course. If you want a little more information in an easy to read format, we've got a lot of videos there. It's basically from start to finish, how to buy a book, how to list it, how to sell a book, how to track it, everything you can kind of want in those videos. If that sounds interesting to you, use coupon code ScoutIQ50, all uppercase, to get 50% off that course. It'll be $97. And you can check that out at bookflipperuniversity.com. You can check it out. If you guys don't like it, just let us know. We'll give you 100% money back guarantee if it's not what you're looking for. So that's also another option for those of you that maybe want to watch a few more videos on it again. So with that said, thank you guys again for being here. And I look forward to talking to you guys again in the near future.